welcome to Beyond the Lines. It's time to have the second underpainting part of this coloring page done. Today I'm gonna work again with the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, and the book that I'm still working on is the Outlander coloring book, and this is part 2 of the video. I'm gonna have part 1 linked in the iCards in a few minutes. If you haven't seen that, I would say go there first, because I'm talking a bit about why I choose certain colors and how I choose where the light comes from and everything. I'm going to show you today how I work with glass and reflection. So in the underpainting as well, I'm going to work with that and show you where I put certain colors, because where the light comes from. Enjoy! Alright, welcome to part 2. If you saw the first video, well, I just got my tea and it's time to film some more. I got maybe a good hour and a half. Before dinner is actually in order, and then I can film some more later on. So what I want to do now is keep on coloring those barrels and also this chest and the floor here, and get as far as possible with those bottles. Now I think so these look like wine barrels and these look like whiskey barrels, so I'm going to have a slightly different color tone than I do have for the barrels in the back. So I'm going to bring in a lighter tone, and that is the 180 here. It is very close to the lighter tone that I already used. This is called raw umber, and I'm going to bring this in to have this as the main tone of my 2 whiskey barrels here. I'm going to keep the colors the same for the metal pieces. Again, if you are new to the channel or just have found this video and haven't seen the first, all the materials that I'm going to use on this page here will be listed on my blog once the last part of this video airs. So this is part 2, and I suspect there will, or I think there's going to be a part number 3. So there won't be a blog post today, but next week then. So I'm just going to color in this raw umber here to find my bits where to actually put the color. Don't want any metal pieces to be colored with this light tone. Now, to be sure that I don't color any metal pieces, let me in a brown tone, let me color them first. So I had said in the last video that the light pretty much comes in from the lower right. So most of this barrel is in the light zone. So I'm using quite a bit of that light blue that I also used for the light sections in the last video. And here's a light tone as well. All the rest, I'm gonna use this, what's it called? Cold Gray 4. Bring in that bit for the metal ring. And then, of course, like I did before, I'm going to bring in a bit of Payne's Gray, just to have a bit of dark, because where there's light, there's dark, and vice versa. So, bringing in the Payne's Gray from the right-hand side, that will increase the feel of the barrel being round, so it will help with making this look curved instead of flat. And then I'm going to bring in my trusty dark indigo to add a bit more to the shadows. And I have just the lightest touch of the gray on top of the light blue. Just really the softest hand ever. Just a bit. All right. Now I can move on to the shading of my barrel here. So this is the Bister, the color that I used as the light for these sections here, and I will use it as the mid-tone on this particular barrel. Just bring in a bit of that where there's dark, because since the light hits from this side and there's a rim here, this front part of the barrel here will be a bit darker. There's going to be shadow from this rim. It's also going to be a bit darker down here. And on this part of the rim, also going to bring it up here. There's gonna be darkness going on here too. Same here. And then I'm going to bring in the burnt umber that was my mid-tone for all the barrels in the back, and I will add that here where there is the darkest parts. And also around these metal rings here, and also here. So now this looks kind of flat still, I know, but I'm going in with my light color once more, and this is a barrel in the foreground, and you can see here there's lots of lines here that indicate the texture of this wood, and that I will work on with my colored pencils later on. Now let me see. I will have maybe a little color added later if I have this bottle colored and not just be plain see-through glass. I can layer on top of the watercolor. I will reactivate a bit of watercolor there. That is totally fine for me. But I will take care of the bottles later on. First I'm going to liquefy the pigment here on the metal rings, starting with the light tone and then moving towards the dark tones and pulling that a bit into the light. It's just easier to have it blend when the lighter section is already wet. Same down here. And then I can move on with the barrel, so the wooden piece. I'm going from the back to the front just to make sure that I don't smudge anything. Again, I'm working with the light first, bringing in the dark, pulling it forward. And same here. very light. Sorry for, I hope the mic doesn't pick up the bing. That is my messenger. Hubby is messaging me about plans for later this week. Now I go here where there's the lightest bit, liquefy that pigment, and then pull in the medium and the darker parts here on the rim first. Just liquefy that. And also here on the bottom, that little bit where the barrel is sitting on. That. And now for the last bit I will work on these wooden planks here, and I will go with the way the wood lies or grows to make sure that this looks as harmonic and real cohesive as possible. So I go with the length of the wood when it comes to coloring. You can see that in the video from last week that I then went vertical instead of horizontal on these barrels, and now I go horizontal instead of vertical or in circle, because these are vertical wooden planks there, or bits on this barrel. So I don't have to have this watercolor pencil here be super smooth. You can see here I have some lines there that will actually help me later on. I'm going to intensify those to have a bit more texture on these wooden barrels. And that is barrel number 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing with barrel number 2 and the chest. But first, barrel number 2, again, left to right for me not to smudge anything or drag any pigment across the paper here with my hand. I do already have a little bit of pigment on it, but it's little enough that I don't smudge anything across this paper here. A little bit of Earl Grey in my stomach. I love to drink tea when filming. So I should actually, with a theme here and this page here, I should actually drink whiskey. But there are several reasons I don't. For one, it's quite early in the day still. It's 4:45. So it's way too early to drink whiskey. Second, I didn't have any food yet, so I would be tipsy in no time, which is no fun when coloring and or recording a video. So second reason there. And third, I actually don't like to drink alcohol when I film and work. I'm having a glass of wine or something when we record the last Gamers Couch of the year, but quote unquote there, it is just a conversation that I have with my hubby. It's quote unquote just talking. Here I'm demoing / teaching. I don't know if that is the right word for what I'm doing here. But I'm telling you thoughts that I have in my mind while I have them. So that is way more difficult if I'm tipsy. So I don't like to do that. And it is, whiskey is very strong. I'm a wine person. So I would be tipsy in no time. All right. There's the lightest tone. Now I'm going in with the blister again, adding a bit of darker lines. Now, here's the thing with this particular barrel. So again, the light comes from this side. So the front here is right spot with the light, but the inner parts here of the barrel do have a bit of shading. And down here where the barrel's sitting on, there's also a bit of shading. There's going to be colors later from these bottles that will, if they are see-through and the light hits them, there's going to be that color, of course, on the barrel of wood later on. So should I decide to color them green or purple, there's going to be some green or purple there, but not for now. For now, I'm just taking care of light and shadow on the barrels without the bottles. I can always color a bit of, I don't know, red, purple, green, blue, you name it, on top and have the reflection on the wood then. But for now, I'm just going to take care of the wood. Speaking of which, I'm adding a bit of the burned umber here right at the back. And also where the shadow's creeping up here and here. Same down here, but not too dark because this is hit by light again. Now I'm going to color in the metal rings again, going with my light gray first. It's kind of like the base layer pretty much. Adding the light blue where the light hits it, and that is the first two rings there the light's hitting. And then I can go in with my Payne's gray for the shadows here in the back where things are darker, and also on the lower section here where things are darker. Again, having this gradient transition from light to dark makes it helps you to have this barrel look curvy and not flat. And then I go in with my indigo again, darkening up a few bits here. Also on the wood, pretty much having a solid frame on this side. Also here, just to help with the curve. Just a very little bit of that indigo blue. It will help with darkening things up, shading things that without using black so much, because I use black only in the very back there. Need a bit of a mid-tone here. And then I can put my water brush to this already. I'm gonna start with the metal pieces again. Light to dark, and then pulling dark towards the light. Just as I did before. It's the same technique. And I will dab off my water brush on a piece of paper towel if I think that I picked up too much of the dark and plan to go into the light section next. So I always have a paper towel next to me when I paint. There we go. So I think I have Still a bit of indigo there on my brush, so dab it off and then move into the lighter section here on the next ring. Go towards the dark. Go. And same for this one back here. And then I will start from the back to the front, and my brush strokes will go from the back to the front, just to help with the perspective and the way of keeping the way the wooden planks are in there. So here at the back I just clean this one bit up, having the middle here also be colored. And again, like I also said in the last video, and like I say in every video, make sure that you turn your paper or canvas when you work and you feel like you've got an uncomfortable position coming up. You don't have to always look straight onto your piece of art that you're producing. You can definitely rotate your paper, make it comfortable for you, and well, spare yourself a lot of cramps and sore muscles in the end. I mean, for filming purposes here, I'm trying not to rotate my paper too much, but still, as you see, I do, because I'm filming for hours and hours at a time here. It's actually, I'm in hour 4 that I'm filming today, and I still have a lot to go. Mondays are always very busy for me, because I always film a lot on Mondays. But I could not have this sit straight on for 4 or 5 hours. I would get the greatest cramps in my wrist, and that would not help anybody. And I just want to make sure that you remember to have a comfortable position at your desk and prevent as many sore muscles and carpal tunnel syndromes and stuff as possible there. Okay, smoothing this out. And now I go with the wooden grain here again to color these bits. And these darker lines here, again, just like with the other whiskey barrel, they will be a nice indicator later where to put some details, maybe with the colored pencils, as does the grain that is printed on these barrels. You can see it a bit better here than you do here, but there are squiggly lines on this barrel as well. So I'm going to go in then with a colored pencil later and show you how I add a bit of detail to these barrels in the foreground. It will probably happen on the next video. But these are the 2 whiskey barrels. Excuse me. And now I have to think about how I want to color this chest. I wanted to sit apart from the barrels because it is a chest of whatever, maybe tiny little bottles or glasses in there or whatever, but they are not wine barrels and also not whiskey barrels. And I think I want to have some reddish brown maroon wood, so something like this up here. these are warm colors. This is a cold one. This is more on the warm. This sits in the middle. Warm, middle, cold. And the closer you are to the viewer, or the closer you are to the foreground, the warmer the colors. If you have warm colors, then it really helps the cool colors push into the background, the warm colors pull into the foreground. So with this chest sitting in the foreground, I think it would be nice to have one of these two tones. And I think I want this one, the 263, which is Caput Mortem Violet, and have this together with a sepia. Where is it? Sepia, the indigo, most definitely. Again, the blues and grays for the metal. Or do I want gold? Oh, I want golden or brass, maybe. All right. Let's go for. They are for these three tones for the wood. Maybe a bit of black or Payne's gray. It's always nice for shading. So these are shading colors too. And for the metal, maybe I want a bit of a brass tone. Or a gold maybe. And have a gel pen or a Wink of Stella on top. That would be nice, maybe. Yeah, let's go for the one here, the 183, that is light yellow ochre. And for the stronger tones, one of my favorite colors, the green gold. So these are the colors for the chest. So let's start with the gold. Oh, let's start with first sharpening my pencils. Like I said in the last video, I'm only sharpening the pencils that I'm gonna use. I don't sharpen them if they just sit in my box. I showed you the box of my colored pencils and watercolor pencils earlier in the first video, actually. So you should maybe go back to the first video and hear more why I do what I do here. I explain it all in the beginning there, in case you haven't seen the video yet. I mean, if you have seen it, totally fine. You are very welcome to stay here. So let's start with the golden bits. So I'm starting with the light yellow ochre, giving this a solid layer. And also here in the middle, solid layer. And then I'm going on top with the green gold, because that is a wonderful color to shade things. The light pretty much hits it spot on, but it's more to the right hand side than it is to the left hand side of this particular box. So I'm shading towards the left. These are that tone. Now I'm going in with the violet, the Caput Mortuum Violet. Just giving it a solid layer. It's like a Purple Heart wood. It's a wonderful wood. We use it for dice trays. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen them or seen our tray or dice tray. Because for the board game photos I publish for games where we use that tray, it sometimes is in the shot. It's a wonderful wood, And I think that is why it is inspiring me to use this tone here on the box. You could also go a bit more warm brown on top rather than the coolish brown that I'm going to use. And then you could have a maroon shade there. But I kind of like the Purple Heart. I'm going on top with my sepia and with a light touch, but pretty much very solid up here on the lid. And also here on the side. Then I bring it in a bit from the left, underneath the lid here. And just a smidge also from the right, but really just a little. And now I go in with my Payne's Gray and I'm shading underneath these bottles here. Also behind the bottles because the shadow goes this way. So it's a bit darker back here. And then there's valleys between these planks here, or these wooden rows. So I'm going to shade those a bit. And then I have to turn my book again because I have to get into the ditch here and bring in a bit of the Payne's Gray just on the very, very edge here and the very bottom. And there's a bit here to the left, and then here behind the bottles just bring in a smidge of that gray here, adding some more of the violet on top, not to get all the other colors lost. And now I'm adding just a little bit of the dark indigo. These squares here, I'm going to take care of those with colored pencils, and with a little bit of black I go back here just to add some very deep shadows back here. And then I can go in with my brush and liquefy the pigment, starting with the yellow. I always have a yellowish underpainting or an ochre underpainting if I plan to go on top with Wink of Stella or a glitter pen or a gel pen or something, just to have it not look flat in the end but really rich. And now I can go in to the red and everything here for the wood. And again, I'm coloring with the grain of the wood. So I have to make sure that my lines are horizontal to the line work that is already given to me. And the line work is the lid of the box, for example, or the line that is the bottom of this box. Right, same now here. Going to turn the page a bit, or turn the book a bit to be able to keep coloring with the grain of the wood that is depicted. There we go. And now I have to turn the book completely because I'm working in the ditch again. And now I have to work with this line here that separates the lid from the rest. So to stay in this direction when I color. There you go. This is the box. All right. Now I have to think about the floor. The bottles are going to be the last thing that I'm going to color. Let me quickly pause, write my hobby that I'm almost ready for dinner, and then I will color the floor and pick up post-dinner with the bottles. I can let this air dry meanwhile. All right. I can have dinner then while this is drying, and it's still in this video. For you, it will be just a split second. For me, it will be like an hour later. I will come back and color the bottles here. But I have to decide now what I want for the floor. Now, back in the day, in those castles, they had quite the dark floors, quite the dark wood. It is pretty much, well, very dark mahogany or oak. In this case, we're in Scotland, come on, not in the Caribbean. So it is a very dark brown. So I would go with the sepia again. And go with sepia and black to have the floor colored. Now I'm going to rotate my cardstock And I have to also rotate the page because it's just easiest for me. Now the light, again, remember, it comes from here. So I will shade in a minute. This is the sepia tone here that I'm currently working with. I'm gonna give the floor a solid layer, trying to get around the bottles as best I can. And I will mark in my head that this is sepia and black for the floor, because if I have glasses that are totally see-through here, of course I have to use sepia and black on them as well. So I'm just going to bring that in here. And again, I'm going to care about reflections and anything from these bottles later on, post dinner for you later on in this video. Okay. So light comes from here. So I will have a little bit of dark back here. I already see I forgot a sepia bit. This one here. So around these barrels there's gonna be dark. Also this barrel is blocking the light for parts back here, so I'm going with black on top. There's just to have a bit of separation here, also a little bit of a shadow underneath this baby here. There's gonna be some underneath that barrel. We go here, light, 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 and then here we have some more dark back here. And a bit here, just to have a bit of a 3D effect, maybe get some depth and stuff. So should be a little darker back here. And the rest here I go in again with sepia, adding a bit to the pigment that I have already laid down, just a smidge, especially around here, and then I can already liquefy this. Have to be careful not to color the bottles. Otherwise they might all be see-through, and I don't want that. I want some variation in the glasses color there. So going around here, having the really darks. And then I have to turn my page, because you can see here there's the wooden floorboards, and I want to go with the grain again. Go with the grain of the wood, and that is like that. And by turning my book, it's just way more comfortable for my hand to paint like this here. some more back here. And almost done. Okay. That is that. Now we'll let this dry. Have dinner. And in a magic editing second, I'm gonna be back and color some bottles. See you later. Okie dokie. Post dinner, let's do some more coloring. Excuse me. So this is all dry here. Now I can decide what colors I want to use on the bottles. And I would like to use very dark green and brown, maybe some of that reddish tone. Let's see. Let's go for the ones that are definitely not glass. This is glass, don't know. Glass. I'm gonna make it not gonna be glass, and that one is gonna be glass, so it's just that one here. So I'm going to make it kind of like clay, which means a warm gray. I want the 272. This is a mid-tone warm gray. So these are the warm grays and down here are the cold grays. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm going to put a little bit of the sepia on top. Just a little bit here where the darks are. So pretty much on the frame. Do I want another bottle like that down here? This is glass. They are all glass. This one might be clay-ish. These are all glass bottles. This could be clay. This could be... So this, and that one up here, and that one down here. So I could go with clay and terracotta maybe. So I'm going to have this bottle here be one of these light gray tones, indicating this is a clay bottle. I'm not gonna color the cork or the closing thingamajig up there. Gonna do that later. Again, going in with a sepia to have the darks come in. Okay, a little more of that warm gray. Okay, that bottle is done, and I want... why not? Let's go for these two and have this one here be terracotta. So again, just as I did with the one next to it, I'm not gonna color in the cork for now. That's gonna be something a bit more colorful. But I'm having, excuse me, a few darks here at the edge to help with the shape of the vase again, or the bottle. It's actually not a vase. It is a bottle. And now I can darken up this one here, as I now know that there won't be any see-through things happening, because this one is solid mix, a solid shadow onto that bottle here. Adding some more of the light gray, and then I'm going on to this one here. And here I'm gonna go all in with the gray. And towards the edge, I'm gonna bring in the dark sepia tone. Also here on the handle. And there's a fly, please go away. Fly, I'm filming here and I don't want you to be on video. All right, now I'm going to bring in the terracotta tone that I had mentioned, and that is this one here, I think. 86, yeah, 86 terracotta. I'm gonna turn my book because I want to get into the ditch here again. Just gonna give it a solid layer. And then I'm going in with the burnt umber and use that for a bit of shading here. Bit more of the terracotta also here on the handle. And bring in a bit of shadow. Now, just to have color repetition, which makes a page or a painting be very cohesive, I'm gonna use the terracotta up here on this little thing. And of course I'm also gonna use a bit of that burnt umber. Okay, all the rest is see-through, so I mean bottles and glasses and stuff. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna quickly liquefy these pigments here that I have just laid down, starting with the warm grays. And while that dries, then I can decide what color glass I want to have where and look for the for the pencils to use. And what I will also do is probably kill that fly. I hope it does not fly against the camera. Lens, that would be bad. I cannot check either because I'm not looking at the camera. Now I am. That's fine so far. So what I will also do once I will go bottle by bottle here. And I will start on the left this time round because remember, the light comes from the right, meaning any colored glass that I'm having on the right will transfer color to the left, to the next object. And I want to make sure that I have the object colored that will have the reflection on it. So this time around I have to color from left to right. It's not my favorite thing to do. I really have to make sure that I don't smudge anything, to be really careful, but this is just the way I can work easiest with those see-through objects. So let me dry my pencil off, and now I need a sip of tea and the thinking starts, and I'm trying to think out loud as fast as I can. So, first thing, this looks like a flask, and it looks like there's a pattern on there, so I think this is not see-through, meaning I can now quickly color this right away. And I'm gonna color it metal, meaning I'm taking the same colors that I used for the metal rings on the barrels. My light cold gray, bringing in a bit of the light blue, bringing in the Payne's gray at the edges, and of course the dark indigo. Finishing up with a little more light gray. Maybe adding a bit more of the Payne's gray too. Okay, so let me get my water brush. I start in the middle. I'm not taking care of the patterns that come with this bottle here. I will do that later, probably with my colored pencils. Maybe I'm also just ignoring that pattern there. I will see that later on. Nothing set in stone on that yet. That fly really irritates me. Gosh, can you please go downstairs into the kitchen or something? Thank you. All right, now I have glass only. The light comes from this direction, so the bottles here on the ground will have most of the light. And I will have only very little direct light here, maybe on the bottom, not so much at the top. Same here for this one, but it has more light than the bottles up here. Now I will go bottle by bottle and see what do I want. I think back at the time, most of these crystal bottles were see-through. So I'm going to take my sky blue. Do I need any other color? I think the sky blue is perfect. So I'm gonna go for sky blue and then whatever it is in the background there. So in this case, it is the umber and the sepia, and I'm also gonna have a bit of that red that comes from this box with indigo and Payne's Gray. So these are the colors for this bottle here. I'm gonna turn my book again because the ditch. Your frame. Okay. So let's go in with the light first. The light hits here. And the rest of that bottle here is quite brown. The bottom though is reddish. Because again, it takes the surroundings, right? So now comes in the sepia because it's really dark down here. Also back here. And here. I'm gonna have a little bit of the indigo here on the edge. And also a little bit of the Payne's Gray. Now I will intensify the red. And the sky blue. And in I go with my brush. I'm starting at the light blue because I really want to keep this light blue. And then I go on moving towards the other areas. And I feather the color in towards the light blue part. Turning my book, and the rest I can do with colored pencils. The next are these 3 bottles here. Actually, everything here is blue, light blue, with a bit of sepia and black. And a bit of the red-gray back here. Black, black, black is here. So I'm going to color all of these next. All of these bottles, all in one go. All of those crystal bottles here, except for this one. Excuse me. And except for these bottles, of course, back there. But they're all gonna be just see-through bottles here. No color at them. So no colored glass, I mean. All just those bottles and glasses here. And they all sit in the stream of light. So now going to add a bit of the indigo here. Oh, I need a bit of that raw umber it is for the see-through here. And then the sepia for the bottom. Very little only. Bit of the Payne's Gray. And a bit of the indigo maybe here. And probably also here. Some more indigo here at the edges of the glass. And then again, sepia. And the gray. A little more of the sky blue. Back here at this bottle, of course, I need the sepia. Also here, because, well, you can see behind this little bit. And also here there's going to be a bit of gray, because both these bottles will bring a bit of the gray to this particular bottle here. Bringing in the... Come on, fly, go away. Bringing in the dark indigo here at the edge. And this one here also gets the sepia treatment here at the bottom. And the indigo treatment on these corners here. Also here. There's darker things going on. A little bit of gray, so the Payne's Gray towards this section here. And then some more light blue, just to not lose it too much. On the glass next to it, again, indigo on the edges, sepia on the bottom, and a bit on the top here as well, and a little more the blue, and a bit of Payne's Gray. And these three bottles here have the indigo blue, the sky blue, a bit of the red violet thing, and sepia. And the same goes for the next bottle. Then dark blue, or indigo, I should say, indigo. And a bit of the red here. Sepia at the bottom. And a little bit of Payne's Gray. Filling up with the light blue. And for the last of these bottles here, bringing in the indigo. It has the most red, because it is closest to the box. Some more indigo. Sepia for the bottom. Bit of Payne's Gray, because this one's darker than the ones before. It gets less light. And sky blue, not to lose that color. All right, now I can go right to left as per usual, like I go across my page normally, and just wet the pigment here and blend everything nicely. I'm pulling the dark quite a bit into the light here on this particular bottle. And moving on to the next one. And on to the next glass. Now the bottles here. You see, I go with the darker spots here first, because I really want them to kind of creep into the glass here, into the lighter tones. Come on, fly. Away from my wet paper, please. Thank you. And this way I get nice saturation and everything, and a bit of oomph in the reflections here of those bottles. All right, that is that. Now, while this dries a bit, I can think about what I want to do with the rest of the bottles. I think I want a few of them dark green and a few of them maybe a reddish brown, so like a port bottle or a dark red wine bottle. I also have to think about what I want for these bits here, but I think that is something for later. Let's start with dark green. I think that one here is perfect, the 278. And then that's chrome oxide. And then I need a bit of a, I'm definitely gonna take the violet again. And the indigo, of course. But I think I also need a bit of a cooler green. So I'm taking the 159. I think it is, or 158. A bit too blue. So let's take 159. That is Hooker's green. So I'm going to take those for the green bottles. One of them being this one here. I would definitely want this green. So I'm bringing in a solid layer of the chrome oxide. And then a bit of the Hooker's green here. Bringing in the deep indigo. For the next one here, do the same thing. But I'm not gonna take the Hooker's green. Just gonna add way more blue to it. And also Payne's gray. And the cork up here, I'm just gonna go for a raw umber. The next bottle here, this I want to be the red, pretty much up to here. So I'm going on top with the Hooker's green, no, the oxide green. Bit of the dark blue. I think could have some blue bottles in here as well. So this is just gonna be dark indigo with Payne's gray. And we don't get enough light up here to have the green shine through. Well, maybe a bit on this one here, so I'm gonna give it a little bit of a green touch there. And taking the Hooker's green for this bottle up here. They're empty bottles. With the indigo. And just a bit of the oxide. Excuse me. Ooh. Now let's liquefy this pigment. And I have to make sure that I just go up to here, because this is how far I want the reddish purple to go. And then I'm coming in from the top. Like this. And the next bottle here. And the dark blue one. A little bit of shimmer of green here on this clay, but just a bit. And then coming in for this bottle here. There we go. And now for the bottles down here. I think they're also gonna be green and brown and blue and stuff. So I want these corks here to maybe stand out a bit. So I'm not gonna color those for now. I'm going in. Oh, there's actually a label here, so let's go in with a, what is this, warm gray 2 for the labels here. And bring in some of that raw umber. And then, well, also for the cork maybe, here, here and here. And then I'm going in with the oxide green. This is an empty bottle. Bringing in some of the indigo on the edges. And then a bit of hookah's green here. It gives a little bit of the shine here to that wood. This bottle here has the hookah's green. And then the oxide green. And down here it is actually filled with wine. So I'm going to put the sepia on top, the tone that is on the bottom here, to darken this up, fill this bottle. Giving it a little bit of a indigo. Now this as well gives a little bit of a tint to the wood back here. And then this bottle has a bit of a tint from that bottle. That's why I have that little bit of Hooker's green on the paper thingy here. And this bottle here is gonna be blue, very dark blue. Hardly can't see anything there, and you can just see a little bit of the sepia coming in. Again, having a little bit of the Hooker's green, the oxide green back here. And again, let's color them. Gonna start with the warm gray cream colors here. Putting those down. And then I color the glass. And now I will clean my brush and take care of that little bit of green bounce off that happens here on the wood. Okay. Next up, I have this bottle here. And I want this to be a very dark green, and that will hit on this bottle here as well. But first, this goes in. And there's also going to be some green down here because there's so much of the light that hits there. Need some more of that Hooker's green here. And a little bit of a light green. So I'm going in with a light green, and that will go on here. Going to have indigo here for the bottom. Come on, fly, go away. Really. Also gonna have a bit of that light green over here. And a bit of that sepia down here. gonna be some lighter bits here as well. And then I can go in at the floor here and add a bit of shading underneath a few things. And for that I'm using the sepia again. I have a little bit of the green here on that bottle. And it even goes through to this couple of glasses here. Adding a bit of gray here. And where's my black? Black. There it is. Bit of black here. And now I'm going to go bit by bit and liquefy pigment that I have put down. Going in where the green shine is first, so that I don't forget it. And then I can bring in the green here, darken it up, a bit of black there. All right, that is the underpainting pretty much, but I want a bit of oomph for this, for these two closing things here, and I think one of them is gonna be a nice warm blue, like this one here, the 150. Oh, 153. I mean, I could read. That is cobalt turquoise. This is gonna be for this one here. And I think I want a purple or something for that one. The 133 really smiles at me here. I want that. That is a magenta. And I want these two colors. So first the turquoise. And then the magenta. Need a bit of the indigo here, just to bring it together here. And then a bit more of the turquoise. And this will go against this one here. Since that turquoise bit here is glass too, it will be hit with the light and will go through onto these bits here. Also onto a bit of that box here. And the magenta is a glass closing thing too. It will go onto here and onto here. All right. I think that is a nice underpainting. Bring it in. There we go. And I think this is a perfect spot to end the video. And next week I'm going to finish it off, at least I hope so, with colored pencils. I hope you enjoyed watching along. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And I will see you next week to hopefully, like I said, finish off this video. Take good care, have fun, have a wonderful week. And if you color this page along with whatever materials you are using, send me a photo or tag me on social media. I would love to see what you're doing with this particular page here. Have fun, take good care, and I'm gonna see you. Bye-bye.